With Arsenal's season officially over, goodbyes for Granit Xhaka and Mikel Arteta's evolution, the future is looking bright. But looming ahead is one of our biggest ever transfer windows. So today we're going to find out about Arsenal's pursuit of Moises Caicedo, as well as a massive update from David Ornstein on Emile Rowe. We'll also discuss the controversy surrounding Bukayo Saka, and break down why Arsenal fans should be very excited. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Babs14, welcome back to your boys channel and I hope you guys are doing sensational. Arsenal ending the season on a 5-0 bang, beautiful scenes at the Emirates, and it's now time to get exciting. Transfers FC is back, so as per my friends, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and do help your boy as we're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers. But starting off with Arsenal's season finale. The 2022-23 season is officially over, and Arsenal fans have learnt a lot. From the highs of the title charge to the lows of the collapse, the season ender itself was quite a good one. Arsenal 5, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. As the XG shows, it was a deserved victory. Arsenal's 2.4 XG to Wolves' 0.45. Despite only having 51% of the ball, Arsenal entered the final third a whopping 50 times, with a 4.8 expected threat created. With 64% of the field tilt, Arsenal had this game over in the first half. It seems that Mikel Arteta has evolved once again. An unchanged lineup from the game against Nottingham Forest, Thomas Partey as the inverted right back and a 3-5-2 build-up. Arsenal have flipped the way they're playing. No more of the inverted left back of Zinchenko. Now you've got a more natural midfielder like Thomas Partey, partnering Jorginho in a very effective build-up. This evolution can make Arsenal even better. It will cause teams confusion because Arsenal will be able to invert on both sides, overload and build up in different ways. The standout performer though was Granit Xhaka, given the official Arsenal player of the match, and there was no surprise why. An 8.5 overall rating, in 75 minutes he scored 2 goals. In what could be Xhaka's final ever Arsenal game, he scored 2 goals in a Premier League game for the first time in his 225 Arsenal appearances. 7 goals and 7 assists, Granit Xhaka has stepped up. Before the arrival of Mikel Arteta, no one would have seen this coming. Xhaka has arguably been our most underrated player this season. The experience that he has provided, the natural vocal leadership, the Arsenal fans understand his importance, and being inside the stadium, the chants are very clear. Granit Xhaka, we want you to stay. And after the game itself, Xhaka has spoken, and he says we'll see next week what's going to happen. I also want to give a shout out to Benjamin White. The last 2 games to Arsenal fans have been a reminder of why Ben White is so important to Mikel Arteta. This guy is one of his Swiss Army knives. His ball playing ability is there to be seen. 42 out of 43 accurate passes and 98% success rates. Alongside Aaron Ramsdale, Gabriel Magalhaes and Bukayo Saka, Ben White is one of 4 Arsenal players that featured in all 38 of Arsenal's league games. This is why Mikel Arteta is targeting a right back, because he realises if there is an injury next year to the right centre back, Ben White can definitely fill in. To score 5 goals was definitely fantastic. And with that, Arsenal have set a new club record for the most amount of goals scored in a single Premier League season, with 88 goals exceeding the 87 from 2004-05. Often we talk about a brand new striker, but that there shows goal scoring has not been a problem. And that's where I turn to Gabriel Jesus. He scored in this game here and that made it 17 goals and assists in just 26 league appearances. He is not a lethal finisher, but what he is an elevator. 14 goals for Saka, 15 for Martinelli and 15 for Odegaard. Gabriel Jesus is a massive reason behind that. He has raised the level of the overall Arsenal attack. And Arsenal do have clinical players, by the way, one being Gabriel Martinelli. This year only behind Harry Kane in terms of XG over performance. This guy is only 21 years of age, so just imagine next year with more experience. I believe Martinelli long term can become a 20 goal a season forward. The atmosphere in this game was somewhat sensational. Despite us not winning the league title, the Arsenal fans were supportive. And after the game when Mikel Arteta was meant to be speaking, the Arsenal fans wouldn't let him speak, constantly chanting his name, appreciating the manager's efforts. And that's because Arsenal fans see potential. And we have now equalled our all-time club record for most league wins in a 38-game season with 26. That is a record equaling the Invincibles. The difference is nowadays that Man City have raised the bar, and that's where Arsenal need to improve a little bit more. Raise the level of the team once again. Improve the overall squad depth. Mentality and experience is often questioned, but these players are going to learn. Mikel Arteta isn't perfect. There are still areas to improve, but you have to understand his ceiling. For him to be competing alongside Pep Guardiola in his third full year as manager is something not normal. He is now evolving into phase 4. He's getting more and more profiles that he needs. On the face of it, Arsenal have bottled this year's title, but take a step back and you'll see the context. Every single year under Mikel Arteta, Arsenal have made massive improvements. Higher points tally year after year. This Arsenal team is only getting started. But comment down below your thoughts on this season and what would you rate it out of 10. Now let's move on to Arsenal's transfer transfer moves. Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard has had a standout season, 15 goals and 7 assists. Odegaard is slowly becoming a superstar, and according to reports in the UK, French champions PSG have also made a surprise sounding for Arsenal's Martin Odegaard. However, that looks doomed, with the Norwegian key to Michail Arteta's plans and happy in London. When top teams see a top player, they are always going to want him. This is why Arsenal are not waiting about. Odegaard's contract expires in 2025. Even though Arsenal have an automatic option to extend by 1 year, they are already negotiating for a brand new contract. This guy loves North London. Watch the way this guy celebrates, always making an extra effort after the game. And I don't think Odegaard's going anywhere. Michail Arteta has also been speaking on Arsenal's strategy in the transfer markets. We have to seek excellence in everything that we touch and participate in, so that is going to have a big impact at the club. And we have a really promising plan. This transfer window is all about raising the level. Michail Arteta understands to win a title, Arsenal have to become even better in terms of control, sustain pressure to a higher standard, because as Man City have shown, the ability to control games is the key to winning a title. And a person that understands the philosophy is current Man City fullback Joao Cancello, who according to Fabrizio Romano, Man City are prepared to let go. Arsenal have interest in the player, and we have to see how discussions between Arsenal and City go after the Zinchenko and Jesus deals. Barcelona also like the player, but they are focused on Lionel Messi. Joao Cancello is not an amazing defender, but Arsenal are trying to build a team to dominate going forwards. And having seen the impact of the inverted fullback in Alexander Zinchenko, the way that has given Arsenal more control over games, imagine the impact of a Joao Cancello in the right environment and right system. As Arsenal fans have seen with Jorginho, Michail Arteta is able to maximise players who might not be the best defensively. Experience is also important, as we've seen this year. The impact of Jesus and Zinchenko, the way they've raised the level of the Arsenal players. Joao Cancello is a 3-time Premier League winner. He's won trophies at Benfica, Juventus and Bayern Munich. And prior to this season, he was in back-to-back PFA Teams of the Year. But what about James Maddison? As after Everton beat Bournemouth on the final day of the season, Leicester have officially been relegated. With only 1 year left on his contract, Maddison is set to be available. According to John Cross of the Mirror, Tottenham, Newcastle and Arsenal are among the clubs eyeing up James Maddison, who could go for around £40 million. But Leicester value him at more than 50, and have hope that there will be a bidding war for his signature to drive up his value. We cannot forget that once upon a time, Maddison was a key target for Michail Arteta. This guy is all about final third contributions. Even this year, despite being a part of a relegation fighting team, Maddison provided 19 goal contributions. Relegation opportunities are always very interesting, and that's where we have to look at Liverpool. Important players of Klopp's teams like Jorginho Wijnaldum and Andy Robertson both were signed from relegated teams. Even in terms of Arsenal, you look at Aaron Ramsdale, relegated with Sheffield United, and now an integral part of Arsenal's first team. But then of course you also have the future of Emile Smith-Rowe, and that's where we have a breaking update. David Ornstein confirms that Arsenal have no intention of letting Emile Smith-Rowe depart this summer. The 22-year-old contracted until 2026 is an important part of Arsenal's plans. Even after an injury hit campaign, hope is that he'll shine at the under-21 Euros and in pre-season before a big 2023-24. Put the rumours to one side, Emile Smith-Rowe is staying. You don't score 10 league goals in your first ever full season and not have fantastic potential, and that's where you have the importance of confidence. The fact that ESR hasn't been able to stay fit, whenever he has played he's been unable to impose himself, and that is because he lacks confidence in his body. A big part of ESR's game is his ball carrying, ability to ride contact, and this is where ESR needs Michail Arteta to find him a right role in the system, give him consistent first team minutes, and allow ESR to regain that confidence. The future of Declan Rice is also getting interesting. Here he was seen after West Ham's final league game of the season, a 2-1 defeat to Leicester, as Rice was serenaded by the West Ham fans, all chanting for one more year. But there seems to be an acceptance behind the scenes that Rice is going to leave West Ham this summer. He wants to play for a team in the Champions League. He wants to fight for the major honours. And according to the reliable Jacob Steenberg, there is an expectation that Declan Rice will join Arsenal. But Arsenal have some major competition. Thomas Tuchel's Bayern Munich are trying their hardest, and they are making moves behind the scenes. According to Florian Plettenberg, Rice has had good talks with Thomas Tuchel, but time could be running out for Bayern as the player could sign for Arsenal. Thomas Tuchel has been a long-term admirer of Declan Rice. Even if you go back to his time at Chelsea, Tuchel was trying his hardest to get Rice to Stamford Bridge. But then it goes over to the player. Does he want to leave the Premier League, leave his home city in London? Well, he himself has been speaking, and he says that everything is just noise and speculation. Obviously, I can't help that, but my main focus is playing for West Ham and winning this final. My heart is set on that, doing it for the club, for my family, for the fans, and that is my only focus. I want to make them all very happy. But that's where things get even more interesting. Before this quote even became public, the very reliable Team News and Ticks had spoken, and he said, just speculation, this will make sense very soon. To be that ahead of the curve is very intriguing. This guy definitely knows that something is happening. link. And we can't forget in the past he has said that Arsenal have provisionally agreed a deal with both West Ham and the player. Have we found the new AFC Bell? But what about Moises Caicedo? Well, according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are still there for the player. Chelsea also have him on their list, but they are also looking to sign Ugarte. In my opinion, Moises Caicedo is just as important as Declan Rice, and Michail is clearly a huge fan of the player, having made a record £70 million bid in January. This guy is pure versatility, able to play as a number 6, maybe as a number 8, but the inverted right back is the most interesting. Having seen Thomas Partey play there, it's clearly an idea that Michail sees going into the future. And you look at the Arsenal team against Wolves, the roles of Jorginho and Partey are important, but imagine the likes of Caicedo and Rice in those positions, players that would give Arsenal even more control, physical dominance and duel-winning machines. And Arsenal do have competition mainly from Chelsea, who have recently announced the official arrival of Mauricio Pochettino, and this is where he's very important. Having already signed Enzo Fernandez, Chelsea are looking to add one more midfielder, and that's where you have Sporting Lisbon's Manuel Gartegui, who according to Fabrizio Romano, has been approved as a target by Chelsea coach Mauricio Pochettino. Chelsea are pushing in talks with the club and the player side, and are trying to fight off PSG. If Pochettino wants Ugarte, it could give Arsenal a free run at Moises Caicedo. And after Brighton's final game of the season, their manager Roberto Di Matteo has been speaking, and he confirms that could be the last game for both Alexis Mac Allister and Moises Caicedo. It is the right way they can leave. They can play at a higher level. It seems like Caicedo has somewhat of a gentleman's agreement, having not been allowed to leave in January, despite making a massive transfer request. It looks like he is now going to be available, and with the price tag set at £80 million, do you guys believe Arsenal should pay that? Now moving on to the other Arsenal news today, and starting off with Bukayo Saka and a bit of recent controversy. Despite having a standout performance in the final home game of the season and signing a brand new Arsenal contract, there was a very interesting report before the game. According to Matt Hughes, Arsenal resisted requests to insert a release clause in Bukayo Saka's new contract, and instead agreed to give him a shorter deal than many had expected, signing for only 4 more years. That compromise suits both parties, with Arsenal protecting Saka's transfer value and the player keeping his options open should he wish to move on in 2 years' time, when the club will either cash in on him or offer him another deal. This is where some Arsenal fans will get very angry. The idea of Bukayo Saka having a release clause and trying to keep an exit open has left a bit of a sour taste. I'm not here to question Saka's love for the club, but you have to understand nowadays these players are very smart. They understand the importance of their careers and how much football can change in a few years' time. Saka does not want to leave Arsenal, but let's just say in 2 years' time, say if Arsenal aren't as successful and the plan isn't clear, the player wants to have his options open, and as a professional, that's a perfectly normal thing to do, despite that being hard for fans to understand. On the positive side, Arsenal are back in the Champions League, with their official account already posting photos of Thierry Henry to remind the world that Arsenal are back, and there have been some significant results. First, a defeat for Ajax against FC Twente, and then a defeat for Villarreal, which means they, alongside Juventus, can't qualify for the Champions League, and that means that Arsenal are officially confirmed in Pot 2 of next year's Champions League. With the season officially over, here are the final numbers. 38 games played, 26 wins, 6 draws and 6 losses, 84 points, second place, 88 goals scored, 43 goals conceded, and a 45 plus goal difference. With Man City losing on the final day of the season against Brentford, they ended the year on 89 points, leaving Arsenal only 5 points behind. Now context of course is important. The defeat to Brentford, the draw to Brighton, I don't believe would have happened if the title wasn't already wrapped up. City of course have rotated players, starting B and C team players, who would not have started if they were still fighting for the title. Arsenal could only muster 84 points, and that was respectable, enough for us to be competing, but not for us to win a title. And that's where next year the goal of course is now a 90 plus point season, and Arsenal already getting doubted. Listening to pundits across the league, they all believe the likes of Liverpool, United and Chelsea will be above Arsenal in next year's title race. We are getting a crazy level of disrespect. How can people see the second youngest team in the league improve by 15 points, have their best ever goal scoring season, and set to have the most expensive ever window, and not get even better next season? I'm not saying Arsenal will win a title, but I firmly believe we're going to be in the race, and if we can make the right level raising signings, I see no reason why this Arsenal team can't prove everyone wrong again, get to the 90 to 95 points, and prove all the doubters wrong. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that ends the first episode of the return of Transfers FC. Arsenal have a big window ahead, things are going to be interesting, and you guys need to stay tuned. So I'll see you next time, take care, and in a bit.